watching College Football Now, powered by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. He's Joey Peterson. Let's get you up to speed on the latest news and rumors in college football. Plenty to discuss on today's program. Could Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, be making a return to Florida State? Also, is Brent Venables on the hot seat in Norman? We will dissect that situation as the Sooners drop another. And Michigan, their NIL partnership is pretty fascinating. Got some good details that we'll get to in just a bit. Before we go any further in today's show, though, want to make sure you're subscribed for the most in-depth college football coverage you will find anywhere here on YouTube, folks, as we're talking everything from news and rumors, transfer portal, college football playoff, recruiting. It's all in one place right here on College Football Now. Sub it up, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Lock us in. The run of the playoffs is on right here on College Football Now. Subscribe now for free. You'll be glad you did. Let's start with Florida State. Is Deion headed back to Tallahassee? Paul Feinbaum of the SEC Network brought up this possibility. And, Joey, this is something that has been discussed for a long time. Even before Deion was coaching in college football, this was brought up as a possibility. We've seen how much Florida State has struggled here. Could this be the time, potentially, to make this happen?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect combination of two things that are happening that makes this the perfect rumor to talk about in this sport right now. You got Florida State absolutely collapsing, and then on the other side, you got Colorado just, 2 seasons removed from a 1-win season in serious contention to win the Big 12. And so this makes for the perfect talk of maybe they'll bring the prodigal son back, maybe the prodigal son will return, and maybe take Tallahassee back to where they haven't been in a while.
So let's let you hear from Paul. Hey, Paul. It is the biggest fall off in college football history. Michigan, they lost their head coach. 3-5 losses were projected, but Florida State was a top 10 team when the season began. There's no excuse for that. Mike Norvell has literally lost all of the goodwill he had from a year ago. It's gone. We've both watched a lot of schools bring back their favorite son. Deion couldn't get a phone call from Florida State a couple of years ago, but in fairness, what had he done? Now, he's one of the hottest coaches in the country. A lot of people were wrong, but that doesn't matter. That's who Deion is. He proves people wrong. And you look at what he's done at Colorado. We know about recruiting-wise when they've brought in his own son, Shador, who looks like a top 10 pick. Travis Hunter, his other favorite son, is on the cups of being a top pick as well and a Heisman candidate and all that. But it's not just the recruiting. They are seeing the results here. And the idea of him going back to Florida State, Joey, if Florida State is going to move on from Mike Norvell, which is part one of this equation, are they going to keep Norvell or not? But then part two, if they do, Deion has to be the guy, right? And if you're Deion, this is as good a time as ever to leave Colorado with what you're about to lose in your own son and Travis Hunter.
100%. I was going there exactly. You mentioned his 2 sons. I guess 3 sons if you throw Shiloh in there as well. But they're gone, right? They will not be at Colorado anymore. So you got to ask yourself, okay, what ties does Deion have to the Buffaloes? Well, he has none. They were the first team that maybe gave him a shot as a head coach when you're talking FBS, Power 5 football. But outside of that, he doesn't owe them anything, right? His loyalty still in his core lies with Florida State.
He's still done a lot for them at the end of the day.
100%. And he's proved over the last 2 seasons, just not only in recruiting, but what they've done in wins and losses at Colorado, it's been incredibly impressive. So if Florida State is done with a head coach like Mike Norvell, who last year, just a year removed from possibly going to the playoff, will they give Deion a call? I think they would, and I don't know why he'd turn it down.
So let's ask you now, your chance to weigh in on our pinned comment today. Percentage chance that Deion Sanders goes to Florida State. Scale it for me, 1 through 100. Joey, I'm still not quite convinced they're firing Norvell, so I'm going to put this still a slim chance. I'll go about 8%. What's the number you put on it?
I'd probably lean, I'd say 15%. A little bit higher, but not high.
Get your predictions in the comment section. Let us know. Today's show is sponsored by our friends at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the place to go for daily fantasy made easy. Here's how it works. You choose 2 or more players on any given category, get the choice of more or less, whether you're talking fantasy points in football, rebounds in basketball, goals in hockey, all sorts of different categories to choose from. PrizePicks has got a great deal they're offering right now, folks. They will give you $50 when you play $5 for free. You do not even have to win to get the money from PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS, promo code CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Looking ahead to a little pro football action this weekend. Going with my guy, Patrick Mahomes, to have more than 240.5 passing yards, and Josh Allen to have less than 32.5 rushing yards. If I put $20 down, both those hit, that turns into $60 on PrizePicks. Play along with us, prizepicks.com/CLNS. The link is in the comments and description of today's video. Let's shift gears now and head to Norman. Has time run out for Brent Venables as head coach of the Oklahoma Sooners? He took over for Lincoln Riley after Lincoln Riley departed for USC. The first year didn't go so well. They won just 6 games. Last year was a promising season. 10 wins, got to the Alamo Bowl. First year in the SEC, nothing has essentially gone right for the Sooners this year. Their offensive line's terrible. What we've seen from Jackson Arnold, he hasn't really developed in what they thought. Here's a tweet that says the following: Brent Venables lost this fan base. There's no way to look at it. You were supposed to lead our proud program to the SEC, and you embarrassed us. I'm not with this experiment anymore. It's time for a complete overhaul, which will be the first time it's happened at OU. Joey, at Oklahoma, they've had a consistent standard for a long time of how they've gone about things. Bob Stoops was a Hall of Fame head coach. Lincoln Riley did a really good job. But then you look at Brent Venables now, and they've fallen off so much. Skip Bayless, known OU fan, even though he went to Vandy, he said, Brent Venables is a great guy who works and tries as hard as any coach and is a proven very good defensive coordinator, but I'm just not sure about him as a head coach. Say what you want about Skip, but I think Joey, he's onto something here. Venables knows defense, and that OU defense has tremendously improved from where it was under Lincoln Riley. But the offense has fallen off so much here, it might be time for OU to go in a different direction.
Yeah, and they've had a lot of injuries, so it's not 100% his fault, but I think he heavily mismanaged the quarterback situation after that game or during that game against Tennessee when he brought in Hawkins and benched Jackson Arnold. And I just think that was a total mismanagement of a really young quarterback. And what blows my mind with all this and absolutely baffles me is when you look at the fact that he signed a 6-year, $51.6 million contract in June. I don't get why OU was in such a rush to give him that kind of money. It reminds me a lot of what A&M did with Jimbo Fisher, right? Ooh. But you could say, hey, A&M was trying to keep him there because LSU, their athletic director, who was formerly an Aggie, was actively trying to get Jimbo Fisher to come to LSU. No one was trying to get Brent Venables in this offseason, and yet they decided to extend him when he really hadn't shown a lot, and now you've got yourself in this situation where people are unhappy, both fans and media guys like Skip Bayless, but you got to look at the fact there's a $44.5 million buyout.
And OU's had some money problems. We heard Barry Switzer say a couple weeks ago that they don't have the NIL funds to compete with Texas, and you got to think that if they are struggling NIL-wise, then it's not going to be easy to pay that buyout for Brent Venables either. Oklahoma's a great job. It's one of the top 5 programs in the country, the winningest college football program since World War II. But I'll be honest, I like Brent as a guy, but they can do better than Brent Venables. Should Oklahoma fire Brent Venables? Type Y for yes, N for no. Get in the comments section. Let us know what you think. We'll wrap up here going to Ann Arbor, and the Michigan Wolverines are getting a giant NIL commitment. Get this, folks. This is from Lucy Gio, the CEO of Passes, who announced this partnership with Michigan, saying the following. Passes is especially proud to partner with the University of Michigan and have the opportunity to work with student athletes in the Wolverine community in Ann Arbor and around the world. The assistant AD for NIL at Michigan, Daniel Davison, said this partnership with Passes aligns with our university's commitment to innovation and student-athlete development. It gives all of our teams a powerful platform to showcase Michigan's athletics and connect with our passionate fan base while preparing our student-athletes for success in the evolving landscape of college sports. So what this does, the athletes can use the Michigan logo and trademark, which will include a Tier 146 tier, Team 146 tier, which will go directly to the football program. The goal of Team 146 tier is to demonstrate the individual donors can have meaningful impact to the university. So with that said, this organization, they've signed the likes of Quinn Ewers and Livy Dunn, and now partnering with Michigan. And you think about this Michigan team, they struggled to have a quarterback this year.
Mm-hmm.
They struggled to place J.J. McCarthy. Well, I heard Dave Portnoy say he would be willing to spend top dollar to get a top quarterback to Michigan. And now you got this as well. For lack of a better term, they're trying to keep up with the Joneses at the University of Michigan. This is big for them, and you got to think, I know it's been a down year for Michigan, but you got the financial commitment there. They're going to be back sooner than later.
Yeah, I think so. And when you look at what we're looking at here right now, this is booster donations from 2005 to the end of the 2022 season. And they're not up there in the top 10s with the likes of the Oregons and the Texases and the Georgias, but they're kind of right now sitting in the top 15 barely. They're sitting right at 15. So they're not getting the financial buy-in that is almost necessary in this day and age of college football to be a top competitor. Now, they were a top competitor last year, and that's because they did so great in the recruiting rankings, but college football is changing year by year. Players are becoming more needy. They want to be paid more. Some of them feel like they deserve to be paid more. And so I think that this partnership with Passes, it's almost like a Patreon type thing for these athletes. I think this is going to be more attractive for athletes to want to come to Michigan. They can make more money. And now these boosters and donors, they don't have to fork over as much because the athletes can go and earn it themselves.
And you think about Bryce Underwood, who they're trying to actively recruit.
Yes.
He's committed to LSU right now, trying to get him to stay in the state of Michigan. If this Passes partnership gets them a few extra dollars, if Dave Portnoy or others could come in, that's the difference potentially in winning the Big Ten, in beating Ohio State, in getting to the national championship game. Joey, in today's day and age of college football, every dollar counts.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, it's different sport than it was 2 years ago, and it's going to look different just in a couple years right now. But, man, Underwood's just as close to a sure thing as there is in any high school recruit. So if Sharon Moore and that Michigan team can sweep him out from LSU and get him in Ann Arbor, that would be absolutely massive for this program moving forward.
So there you have it. That is our show today. Big thanks to Joey Peterson for joining me along for the ride today. For continuing college football coverage, subscribe now, youtube.com/chatsportstv.